After defeating the Death Bear, Ein used his appraiser skill to scan the monster and assimilate its abilities. Ursula, who witnessed him complete his mission, acknowledged his ability and informed him that all he needed to do from there on was to defeat the monsters on his way out of the dungeon, proving he had completed his training. When they got back to the World Tree to meet Yuri, Ursula handed Ein the World Tree's spirit core. When Ein asked why Ursula was handing him another special eye, the witch-like lady explained it was an upgrade he needed, which Yuri consented to. Ein attempted to thank Yuri, however, he couldn't find her around. When he asked where she was, Yuri surprisingly sprouted out of his eye, shocking Ein, who was in disbelief. Ursula explained that by moving the spirit core into his artificial eye, Ein had now become the World Tree, making it possible for Yuri to travel with him. She further explained that it wasn't permanent, as she enchanted it to ensure Yuri returned to the tree after his death. When Ein asked whether Ursula was fine with letting him take Yuri, the hag kicked him in the face, accusing him of taunting her. After torturing him for a bit, she explained that Yuri was all alone in the dungeon, with only her as a guardian, so since she trusted him, she wanted him to take Yuri out to explore the world. She then proceeded to plant a new amp on his hand, giving him the ability of infinite storage, which would allow him to keep an endless amount of things with him whenever he traveled. She then presented him with a special sword crafted with special materials from Yuri. However, in a not-so-shocking turn of events, she pierced his left eye with the blade. While he screamed in agony on the ground, and Yuri rushed over to heal him, Ursula brought out a weird stone, which she forced him to eat. She called it a philosopher's stone, and explained it would help her keep contact with him, as she wanted to ensure he didn't make any creepy moves on Yuri. Before leaving, Ein asked Yuri whether she had any plans on the surface. The elf maiden shyly informed him that she wanted to see her family, which Ursula explained to be the other 8 parts of the once ginormous World Tree. Ein agreed to help Yuri on her journey, making the elf extremely happy. After leaving the tree site, Ein navigated around the dungeon, occasionally getting help from Ursula, who helped him appraise his location and get around quicker. He eventually faced a large S-rank monster in the form of a venomous viper. However, it could do no damage to the warrior, who had gained an incredible amount of cheat skills from his new friends. When he attempted to appraise the monster, he realized the pain he once felt while doing it was gone, and was pleased to find out that Yuri, who was now living in his mind, was responsible for that upgrade. After getting around for a bit, he got to the floor boss's room, where he began to hesitate, wondering if he could actually take the monster on. However, Yuri would boost up his confidence, telling him that she believed in him and trusted he could do it. He went in and was immediately faced by a large, hideous monster made of rocks, which was ready to destroy the intruder. After an uncomplicated clash of fists, Ein took a hit from the monster, which he reversed and used to test one of the Viper's skills, Toxin, which melted off one of the monster's arms. When he realized the monster was too tough for him, Ein got help from Ursula, who advised him to use Nova Strike, an ability she taught him, which could one-shot the monster. Ein immediately took action and charged the ability before feeling like Frieza after destroying Planet Vegeta, as he blew up the floor boss. After defeating the monster, Ein was hugged by Yuri, who congratulated him on his victory. Just then, Ursula showed up as well, surprising Ein, who couldn't understand how she was present. When he asked why she left the World Tree, Ursula explained that since he was the tree as well, she could use the Philosopher's Stone to teleport between both locations. After getting that out of the way, they got to the end of the floor and saw the labyrinth core, which Ursula embedded in Ein's eye, upgrading his now God Appraisal artificial eye to level 2. When he tried to return the way he came, Ein was surprised to see the door was sealed shut. After a quick analysis, Ursula smiled, confirming that there were other ways out. But the sealed door meant nobody else could get to the World Tree. Back in the city, Zoid, who abandoned Ein in the dungeon, was drinking with a bunch of other adventurers. He pretended to be in pain, expressing how sorry he was that Ein died. He told a false tale with crocodile tears, claiming Ein sacrificed himself so the rest of the party could live, knowing fully well it wasn't the case. However, his fake story and pretentious tears would eventually be put under the light of the truth, as Ein suddenly appeared in the bar, asking who it was that sacrificed his life. When Zoid attempted to lie about the situation, Ein exposed the dirty lying fraud, explaining how Zoid and Jolene paralyzed him and left him to be dog food. When the other hunters caught wind of the story, They began to throw their cups at him, calling him a useless scum. However, Ein stopped the group, remembering that although the fool left him to die, he was also foolish enough to let his useless former trash-picking self into their party. After Ein left, Zoid was left in utter shock and disgrace, saved by the so-called trash he left to die. Later that day, Ein conquered another dungeon and got to the labyrinth core, allowing Ursula to upgrade his eye. While he traveled back on his way out, he came across a party being attacked by a group of monsters. After defeating the monsters and rescuing the party, Ein checked up on the members, eventually meeting a lady amongst them who had begun to fall mindlessly in love. After getting to know the party a bit more, he found out she was a princess named Claudia who invited him over to her mansion. She thanked him further at her mansion. However, when she attempted to get more physical with her thanks, Yuri had to intervene, awkwardly lying that she was betrothed to Ein. While the girls began to argue about polygamy, Jasper, the head of a huge trading company, Gino, decided to be weird as well, requesting Ein marry him. He explained that he was fascinated by Ein's eyes, as they reminded him of the legends called spirit cores from world trees, making him want to live with them forever. After a weird discussion with Ursula in private, he decided to change the approach and convince Jasper to be just friends, giving him access to the information Jasper had on world trees and Ursula, access to the finances she had her eyes on. Meanwhile, in a mysterious white room, a mystical girl glanced through many screens, awaiting the next fun event she'd see. The next day, Ein traveled to another dungeon, where he came across a dead end. Ursula informed him that it was coded in a teleportation spell, so he simply needed to touch the wall to get to the labyrinth. After touching the wall, Ein was transported to a large jungle, which seemed to be the size of an island. When he asked Ursula how it was possible, the hag explained that it was the work of a mirage, surprising Ein even more. Suddenly, a mysterious voice spoke out of nowhere, inviting Ein to a challenge. After hearing the voice, Yuri popped out, shouting out the name Pina. When Anne asked what that was, Yuri explained that it was the name of her younger sister from the World Tree. Pina, who was in a mysterious white room, watched Yuri pop out of Ain and wondered why her sister would team up with a human. Although Ain tried to use Yuri's family bond to get straight to Pina, the elf refused, claiming Ain and Yuri needed to clear the dungeon before they could meet up with her. She attempted to intimidate Ain, informing him about numerous dangerous traps and awful monsters. However, the warrior was unfazed, surprising Pina, who expected him to instantly quit. With the help of Ursula, he easily got through all the hidden traps, frustrating Pina, who couldn't believe her eyes. When he got distracted by Pina, he needed to be put back on alert by Ursula, who called him out for slacking off. Yuri butted in as well, claiming her sister was simply trying to make him have fun. However, Ain rebutted, claiming a simple slip would instantly lead to death. Pina, who heard the remark, denied the claim, explaining that her system didn't open up a possibility for death, as any adventurer could forfeit from the dungeon at any time. Just then, Ursula sensed a monster incoming, putting Ain in battle mode. When the monster attempted to use a special toxin to make him fall asleep, Pina was absolutely shocked that it had no effect, as Ain had been given the ability to resist debuffs. He defeated the monster and appraised its skills, but before he could even recover further, he was attacked once more by enemies, but this time, he couldn't see them. However, they could do no damage, as Ain had a skill that prevented him from ambush attacks. After Ain destroyed the monsters, Pina was further frustrated, bothered that a human easily soloed S-rank monsters. She sent more monsters, however, they were also easily trashed by the adventurer. In another part of the dungeon, Zoid fell from the entrance, crashing onto the ground. He cursed Ain for ruining his life, remembering the incidents that got him to the dungeon. When he visited the bar after that day, he was hated by everybody, including Jolene, who pretended she was forced into paralyzing Ain. When he realized the guild had lost all respect for him, he decided to take on a big quest, which would boost his reputation back. He took a quest and suddenly ended up in the secret dungeon, reminding him of the situation with the Hellhounds. Just then, he heard the voice of the labyrinth speaking out to him and asking him to forfeit. However, he refused, claiming he could survive and win. After going through multiple tough traps, suffering hits and injuries along the way, his adventure would be cut short, as he was faced with an S-rank monster, a ground dragon. After the monster beat him up, almost eliminating him, and any form of plot armor he had, Ein mysteriously appeared and one-shotted the monster, saving his life. When he looked up in an attempt to appreciate his savior, he realized it was Ein, disgracing him again. Before he could ask any important questions, he was healed and knocked out by On, who requested Pina take him away due to forfeit. After getting the burden out of the way, Ein decided to challenge the dungeon boss to finally end the adventure. After passing through the gate to another jungle, he suddenly felt an attack from the ground, catching him by surprise. After a quick analysis, Ursula realized their enemy was the ground, forcing Ein to fly up, and revealing the large turtle monster the warrior would have to face. Although Ein attempted multiple attacks, it was all fruitless, doing no damage to the monster in front of him. However, after careful thinking and good analysis, he realized the monster was actually just a large mirage, spawning from a tiny Saiti turtle. He convinced Pina not to make him eliminate the turtle and decided to keep it. However, Ursula began acting funny, giving the turtle more respect than she'd ever shown Ein combined. With the dungeon cleared, Ein was finally allowed to take Yuri to Pina at the World Tree, starting the family reunion. She acknowledged the power Ein had and eventually teased Yuri for having a crush on Ein. After the teasing ended, Pina requested Ein take her along with her sister, which the group accepted. Just then, the turtle on his shoulder dropped down and transformed into a lady, claiming the name Kurohime, who was also Pina's guardian. She greeted Ursula, who couldn't stop being polite, showing she had some semblance of fear for Kurohime's figure. Before long, Kurohime consented to Pina following the group and handed over her philosopher's stone to Ein, wishing she could tag along. She informed Ein of her barrier ability, which he accepted would be extremely useful in their journey. A few moments later, Ursula had converted the philosopher's stone and labyrinth core into a spirit core, which she implanted into Ein, adding Kurohime and Pina to his eyes. With his party now increasing, Ein was pleased with his development, hoping to meet more of Yuri's family along the way. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.